Hey everybody, this is New Music Hot Takes. I'm here with Nathan and Anthony. Oh, and I'm James, of course. And we are talking about an unreleased song from Linkin Park's 2003 album, Meteora. We're going to give our hot take, and then, of course, we'll say whether or not it belongs on the yay list or the nay list, whether you should listen to it or whether you should skip it.
Linkin Park's Lost Song, Lost. Not too terrible. The thing that sticks out with Linkin Park with me all the time is always their little keyboard hooks. Everything else just sounds pretty much run-of-the-mill Linkin Park, basic.
And I'll never break away.
So obviously this song is a lot less busy than Linkin Park's other singles. I think the muted vocals from Mike Shinoda is really important. It allows Chester Bennington's voice to shine through, and of course his voice is the highlight of all the songs. And I gotta say, if this didn't make the cut on Meteora, that just shows how Meteora is one hell of an album.
I try to keep this pain inside, but I will never.
Absolutely a B-side. You can tell it's a B-side. It didn't make the album because it's lackluster and misses the essence of what made that album really good when it came out.
So Nate, I am shocked to hear you say the album was actually pretty good, because we went back and forth this week on whether or not we should even include Linkin Park. I'm going to post the pictures and the the conversation. So I thought for sure you were going to hate this. And maybe you didn't like this particular song, but it sounds like you actually think Meteora is not terrible.
Meteora is one of the quintessential period pieces that a lot of millennials grew up listening to. So I know there's value in it. When I was 16 or 17, whenever it came out, 2002. Yeah, 16 or 17. I liked it. I thought it was great. Me now does not like it. But I understand the importance and value in the transition of music from 90s alt up to this.
But kind of branching off what you said there, I do agree. Linkin Park definitely has its place somewhere. My biggest issue with Linkin Park is like I'm an avid
Somewhere other than your CD player.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but my gripe with Linkin Park is that all the songs sound like the guitar's doing the same thing, the vocals are always the same thing. The only thing that separates the songs to me is the little keyboard things that they do in each individual song. And I think Linkin Park's a good band. I have nothing against the band. I was just never a big Linkin Park fan. But I respect the band, and I think it's cool to hear something new from them.
Yeah.
That sounds exactly the same, but new, I guess, for the Linkin Park fans.
I don't think this sounds the same as like Meteora. This sounds like their version of a ballad. That's why, to me, it didn't feel like it felt like it would fit on the actual album.
You had me at hello, man. It sounded exactly like everything off that album. There's nothing crazy different about it.
Well, I mean, Nate, I don't.
James,
I mean, Nate, I hate to be the one to burst your bubble here, but Mike Shinoda said that this didn't make the cut because it sounded too much like "Numb," which was like the iconic song from this album.
Oh,
That's a direct quote from the New York Times. You know, listening to this, and especially the bridge, the lyrics there, you've got, Chester Bennington singing, there's this quote, "I try to keep this pain inside, but I will never be all right." It's really weird, I think, to hear that bridge, especially, 5 years after his suicide.
Was it 5 years already?
There's something like that. It was a couple of years ago.
That's insane.
weren't most Linkin Park songs kind of similar?
It feels weird now. You're right. Like, it didn't feel as weird then.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
it definitely
like,
feels.
This is one of those times where we go look, and I'll just refer to Tony Sly real quick. His music turned into much more dire and sad, and no one really paid attention because they're like, "Oh, no use for name, Tony Sly." They're the melodic punk hardcore band that always is a little like their tones like that too. And then he dies from drugs or whatever. They wouldn't tell us. Same thing kind of happened here, where you're hearing this tone that's highly emotional. It's dark. In 2002, who's talking about mental health? It makes you wonder like how we're not picking up on cues from lyrics that these artists are writing, and then it's like right there in front of us like headlights.
Yeah, I mean, there's that old cliche of the tortured artist, and I think I sometimes cynically assume that people are just putting on a front like that, but it seems that a lot of artists are actually tortured, and I guess Chester Bennington fits into that.
And there's also interpretation as well. Like the way the artist is presenting the song for themselves. When you listen to it, you may not be hearing it that same way. You may be listening to it, and it might touch a certain aspect of your life or somebody else's life or whatever, and make them feel at peace with themselves. You know, like they're pouring their soul out. I feel it. They may not be catching what they're putting out, but to them, they're getting what they need from it. So. There's that. Yeah, your nays?
I don't go first. Hey, Anthony, how you feeling?
It's your run-of-the-mill Linkin Park song. I'm going to give this an A only because if you're a really big Linkin Park fan, then you'll probably want to give it a listen. But if you're not a Linkin Park fan and you just enjoy Linkin Park, you could literally turn on any Linkin Park song and get the same satisfaction out of listening to it. So I'm just gonna go with an A on that.
James, how you feeling?
I actually agree with Anthony a lot in terms of it's very similar to their earlier music. However, I think the fact that this was found on the cutting floor and brought back after Chester Bennington's death, I think it's still noteworthy and newsworthy and worth a listen. I mean, how many times does a single coming out make it to an article in the New York Times?
Is that a yay or an A?
Oh,
yeah, James.
Yay. Sorry, it's a yay.
For me, I'm going to agree with Anthony that if you're going to listen to a reissue or you want to hear a Linkin Park song from that time period, just go listen to Meteora. This was never going to be a radio hit, so I don't know if you'll find it that interesting. If you're a diehard Linkin Park fan, you probably already listened to it, so the other people out there, I don't think it's relevant for you. Sounds like a transformer like powering down at the end.
Be sure to like and subscribe, and more importantly, leave us comments as well. Please tell us if we're doing a good job, bad job, what have you.
Tell us who you don't like.
Nate.